Hello, good morning. Did I tweet? No, I forgot to tweet. It's a classic. And we are live now. Okay. Good morning. Sorry I didn't do the stream yesterday. I came home and we had like a small family breakdown. It's just crazy, like having a tiny kid. And the problem is, it's not the crying; it's that it, like infants, they don't have any sleep patterns. Like they wake up within every hour, typically. So during the night, it's not, as I said, it's not the crying. It's just that they're just unease all the time, and they kind of wake up every hour, even though it's just like they're just doing something and then they go right back to sleep. The problem is that my girlfriend like sleeps next to the baby, and like for several days she's woken up every single hour, and at some point you just break down. You just can't do it anymore. So that was our day yesterday. Like you have to change the routines, you have to balance out the energy, like the sleep of the family, and then it's always on someone's expense, right? And it's just, it's tiring, super tiring. But anyways, that's just the way it is, and luckily we can forget about all of that and just go right back into our project. Oh, this is the reactive app, Codesandbox client refactor. Yes, we were dealing with authentication. We were going to actually authenticate today, which is awesome. So we need to open our CLI login pop-up, which we need to implement on our auth. Oh, on verify. Oh, what the hell is this? Oh, okay, so we kind of just jumped into this. Verify JVT requested. Is this part of the login routine? Oh yeah, verify JVT token. Oh yeah, so this is actually when we have a token, and this is when we need to go and grab a token. So let's just add this OpenCLI login pop-up. And then we're going to finish this first. Verify JVT requested. That's an event where we actually get the JVT as well on that request. And this is something we can do when we are unauthenticated, I guess. No, sorry, this is when we are, so let me reiterate here. So you click the button which moves you into authenticating. Yes, so we are in authenticating mode, which means that we can verify the JVT, which means we can do this on JVT, on verify JVT. We pass that in, and when we're doing that, we are basically signing in. Yes. So on verify JVT, we don't want to fetch directly. We rather want to use our, let's do a try catch here. This is an async function, and what we're going to do is we're going to try to this is interesting because we're looking at this whole flow as being part of the same thing, but it's really not, because we're running the application twice. This is what I mean about complexity of the login routine. So we're running the application, we open a pop-up which opens the application again, but on a different page. So in this context, we are not like signing in. We're actually, this is not part of, it doesn't really matter. This is like something else, which is why I thought about not making it part of auth, because I think it's kind of confusing. Because it doesn't matter when we pass this. It's kind of interesting, because when the pop-up opens, we are definitely not authenticated. And if we were authenticated, I guess we would not really get a token either. Like we would never be there. Like what happens if I go to the CLI login page? Codesandbox CLI. Is this the URL? Yeah, then I actually get the token. Oh, sorry, that was the wrong one. It's the, what is the authentication endpoint? Yeah, it's CLI login. Okay. So then I would just already have the I find this very confusing. How should we express this? Like, in what context do we actually verify the JVT token? Are we, well, I guess it's when we're not signed in. That's the only way we can actually verify it. Because if you're not signed in, that's when you get the input. And that's kind of what's confusing here, is that we don't actually start the sign-in process, we just pass this message. And again, the confusing part there is that you think this is part of the authentication flow. Like actually signing in, like running the sign-in logic, but it's really not. It's part of a different page. It's actually part of a different feature. Yeah, that's the problem. That's why it's confusing. So we have auth, but we need to create a feature for the CLI login, because that's where this stuff is happening. Yeah, that's it. So let's just create a feature called CLI login. CLI login. This is actually a different page. Yeah, we haven't created this yet. Okay, so let's do that first, because that's going to clear some stuff up. Let's go down here. And we need, oh, we're calling it development authentication now. Oh, but that's auth dev. And then we have CLI login. OMG. Auth dev? Shouldn't this be CLI login? Now I'm confused. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Authentication endpoint. Yeah, sorry. I was confusing. This should be CLI login. We have the wrong page here. Auth dev is actually the endpoint on the server, I think. Location auth. No. Huh? So we have auth dev, and then we have CLI login. What the hell is auth dev? Codesandbox auth dev. That's not a page. What the hell is auth dev? Auth sandbox, auth dev. So auth dev is where we actually insert the token and stuff. And then we have this other page, which is the CLI login. Okay, so these are actually two different. Oh, sorry. Yes, so CLI login is where we get the token. The auth dev is where we insert the token. Sorry. By the way, I'm a little bit tired today. Which would explain me environment. Let's see. Yeah, and we have to OpenCLI pop-up. This should be part of OpenCLI pop-up. Yeah, we'll fix that later. What was I doing? Yeah, first we have to get all the pages in order here. We have auth dev, but we also have CLI login. That's a different page. CLI login routed. CLI login routed, and then we are on CLI login. Cool. And yes, so you wouldn't typically go to this page. Yeah, I guess we just expose it. Navigate CLI login. What the hell are you complaining about? Duplicate identifier? Oh, yeah. Maybe we should rather do this route, and then we say, yeah, this is better. Let's see if we can. Oh, this is good. We can give these things a name, and then we can use that instead. Well, no, because we need the payload. Oh, this is tricky. So this is CLI login there. That's like the feature, and then we actually want to route. Maybe we should just rename these. Why is this called route? This should be home. Yeah, this is a tricky thing, because one way would be to have one method and just use the name of the route, which we could give here as well. They could be the same, which would be super nice. But then we have params. Oh wait, we could do that. Oh wait, okay, this is going to be the stream instead. Like, it's going to take forever to get this authentication working. What was the name of the Navigo? So what we can do here, we can say export type route, and we say name, and that will be like home, and optionally it will have some params, but let's see, name, editor, params, id, string, or we can have name, what was it called? Maybe we should do home, editor, development authentication name CLI login, and we could put these in a separate type, but we won't do that now. We could have like an enum for them, but we're not going to do that now. So what we can do here instead is that we can say route, and then we say t extends route, where name would be t name, and then we would say, yeah, this is a really tricky part. So we want this second argument to be there if it's required. So not all routes has params, but if it has, we want to actually make that an argument. So I think we can do that by saying t extends params any. We would say t params or void, I think. We can check that. And then we would rather say this router navigate by name, and then we say params. Wasn't that the second argument? Oh, it's not assignable. Or undefined. Wait, can't it be? Isn't void undefined? Object or undefined. And this is type void. I thought void was like undefined. Why is it complaining? What? How do I identify void? Okay, we'll have to check that. Then we can just remove these ones. And what we'll rather do is navigate where we can give them names. Where's the documentation? Router on as uses. They have some funny names for things. Why don't you just call it name? It's kind of weird. And uses? Why? Yeah, interesting. As editor, uses oops, sorry. As what do we call it? Development authentication uses that thing. As CLI login uses. Okay, so now we have, yeah, this is really bothering me. Because this will be like, if I say undefined there, so I can do a quick test, like const test new navigator. The thing is, if I do route now, I will get these, and oh, I thought it would understand. Oh yeah, because this needs to be void. Oh, interesting. Okay, so what I think we need to do instead is we have to do how can we do this? Args. Let's see. T extends params object. If that's the case, we're going to get the name, which is string, and we're going to get params, which is t params. Oh, sorry, t name. And if not, we're only going to get name t name. So we're going to say args0, args1. And now that one's happy. But if I do like editor, it complains because it wants to have an ID. Whoop whoop. Cool. That's pretty cool. That's some TypeScript stuff for you. Anyways. Okay, cool. That's pretty nice. This is really nicely typed now. The problem is that we have a lot of duplicate stuff. So we could say, so we have home, home. So these should really be, yeah, we should have a export enum page. Home, how is this? Equals home, editor equals editor, development authentication equals development authentication, CLI login equals CLI login, and then we'll say page home, page editor, page development authentication, page CLI login, and then we could like use them here as well, I guess. Yeah, I guess that's okay. Home, page development authentication, CLI login, and then we could go down here as page home, page editor, page development authentication, and page CLI login. And then this will be page home, this will be page editor, and this will be page editor development authentication. Now we have to do the same because we should have like a CLI login routed, which leads us to the CLI page. Cool. Nice. And again, like we're orchestrating a lot of stuff here. It might be completely unnecessary with the state machine here. The only thing that the power we get here is that whenever this navigator transitions into different pages, it will automatically dispose of whatever is on the current context. That's like that's the main advantage we get from this. But we could do that manually. It's not a big deal. But yeah, there might be other complexities here down the road. So that's the way it is. Okay, how much time have I spent now? 30 minutes soon. I'm super tired. So I'm not sure if I can go for much longer. But okay, this is pretty cool. We have a really nice API for that now. And what we need to do now is, yes, we created a new feature called CLI login. And if I remember this, yeah, so that's a new page, but I think we also should have a feature called development authentication, because that's also a different page. And we did touch on this last time, I think, because the feature of the development authentication is that, first of all, it is its own page, but that is what actually does this thing, opens the CLI login pop-up and does the verification of the token and sends it back to the main application, that stuff. So I think we should, just prepare at least those two. So we have CLI login, and then we have development of, oh my god, this authentication. Wow, that's a big one. Development authentication. Let's attach you there. Oh, okay, that's the name of it. Oh, I really have to refactor these lines. Like in terms of adding new features and start attaching stuff, there's some bugs related to these lines. Anyways, we have our development authentication, and I guess we can just make these factories. That's a factory. That's a factory. Well, does it need to be a factory? Yeah, I think so, because both of them do async stuff. Now the thing is, this has been the confusing part. Like the CLI login is not something we need to implement now, because during development we're using the production CLI login, like Codesandbox.io, to get the token. But we need to implement this thing, because this is what actually runs in our environment. So let's just move some of this code over. On verify JVT, this should be part of development authentication, and also the thing where we open the CLI login pop-up, that's also part of the development authentication. Yes. And yeah, so what we're going to do, we're going to just attach everything, and then we're going to actually fix this to properly use our stuff. And then verify JVT requested is not part of this. It's not part of this. Yeah, so verify JVT token would also be part of this. So this is to open the production pop-up, and then that pop-up, you will just copy a code and close the pop-up. We don't need to track that. And then you will paste that code into the development authentication input, which will then call this method and verify the token, which will then pass a message to our actual root window with the sign-in message with that token. Yes, this is going to be good. So one thing that, if we save this, one thing that we will need for our development authentication is the actual auth API. So we need to draw a line down there. Yeah, you see there? Now it didn't draw the line. So this is, yeah, that's interesting. So when I add a new feature, I can add that feature to something, but I can't add anything to that feature. But if I refresh, we should be all good. Yeah, there we have the line. But it's interesting. Like, I remember these drawings of this kind of pattern, how messy things get. And you see already we have like wires going all over the place. But one thing I've learned about coding is that some things are inherently complex. It's not about solving the complexity itself. It's more about wielding the complexity. And that's what we're doing here. Because if we did things differently, we would meet other types of complexities anyways. It's not like building Codesandbox can't look like a to-do app. That's just impossible, right? So you want to manage the complexity somehow. And if we didn't have, so the complexity of Codesandbox is how all these features are tied together. And the thing is, we can ignore that and just make it implicitly so in our code. We don't really know about this complexity, or we can actually visualize it so that you can wield it. So even though this is incredibly complex, it's totally wieldable, if that's even a word, which is the important part. You want to understand the complexity. You don't want to like blissfully ignore it. Anyways, so what we're going to do next time, we're going to finish implementing our development authentication. We're actually going to run the component and try to log in. That's for tomorrow. That'll be fun. Okay, cool. Bye for now. Talk later.